For this episode, I wasn't entirely sure how I was feeling about it halfway through, and even at the end, yeah, let's talk about this one. How's everyone doing today, guys? My name is T Codes. This is Star Wars The Bad Batch, Episode 6, Decommissioned. And, yeah, makes sense in this episode. So, picking up right where we left off in the last one, Bad Batch, they get a job with Sid. They get a job with Sid, they get a job with Sid to travel to Corel to this droid decommission factory to retrieve a tactical droid head, because tactical droids, the more they learn, the more information, like all of that. So it's like, but the clones and the Empire, so all of that makes sense as to why they would be doing this. Of course, they're doing it to get paid. So, yeah. Although, I like how in this episode we still have a lot of little things, like Omega practicing with her new bow. I like how they're doing target practice and there's people in the bar, like, making bets on whether or not she's gonna hit it, and it's so funny to watch. And I also like how she gets frustrated that she isn't always hitting every shot, because, when she picked up a blaster for the first time, her first shot was a bullseye on Crosshair. She knocked his gun out of his hands. So here, when she's practicing with the bow, as Echo pointed out, she was 3 for 12, which is luck. As he stated, it's like, it's not skill, it's luck, because 3 for 12, that's only 25% of the shots. So it's like, that's not. Or, as Sid points out, and this I got a chuckle out of it, was she said to Omega that the reason why she was hitting every shot is because her noodle arms weren't able to hold the bow up. And she's not entirely wrong, because when Omega's holding the bow, she's like struggling with it, her hands, she's kind of shaking with it, and it's because, it's a bow and arrow, basically, so kind of heavy, kind of hard to hold back on the shot and not let go. And as Sid kind of proves to Omega, once you're strong enough and get well with the bow, you can practically just go rapid fire. And that's because Sid grabs Omega's bow and it's like boom, boom, boom. It's like, okay, don't mess with Sid. I mean, kind of got that out of the last episode, but she can handle herself. But yeah, so the mission, like I said before, they go to Corel, to this droid decommission factory, to retrieve the head of a tactical droid. And I thought most of the episode would just be focusing on that. And it does. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying just the team getting it. Like, maybe Omega proves herself again. This episode, she learns to use the bow, all that. So it does seem like that for the most part. They go into the factory, they infiltrate it, they find the head. Then they run into Rava and Trace from the Clone Wars series. If more specifically, the middle 4 episodes of Season 7. Because in Season 7, remember, you had the Bad Batch episodes, then you had Ahsoka's storyline before the Siege of Mandalore, which was with Rava and Trace here. So yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of them in Clone Wars, and I think the main reason why was because we had 4 really stretched out episodes with them. Like, episode 1 of that storyline I fine. Episode 2 was okay. Episode 3 was pretty much, you start and you end in the exact same spot. They're trapped in a cell, they escape, they get caught again, and they're thrown in the cell by the end of the episodes. And then, so I felt like that whole storyline was stretched out just so we can get 12 episodes in the final season. And it's not terrible, it wasn't terrible, but I don't know, I just remember I didn't remember those 2 very well in those 4 episodes. Although, as this episode went on, I was like, oh wait, I remember that, yeah, so in this episode with them, they also want the tactical droid head. And of course, they both still have their kind of character traits from Clone Wars, because technically speaking, not much time has passed between those two events. Between now, or what we're in right now, versus what. I honest to God hate this camera sometimes. Okay, back to what I was saying. You know what? Let's just, yeah, so talk about it. So, basically it's this game of, like, two people want the same thing. At first they fight, but then they have to work together, you know, all that stuff. And for the most part, you know, it's kind of interesting because as a viewer, you know Rava and Trace, but for the Bad Batch, they have no idea who these two are, so it's more of an interesting dynamic between the group. And like I said before I was cut off, the two, Rava and Trace, still have their personalities as they did in their storyline with Ahsoka. Rava being kind of like the risk taker and the edgy player, and the one that always thinks her plan is the right plan. And in this situation, it kind of gets into a bad spot because she runs into Omega, who, I'll admit, Omega was very defensive to start. I mean, I get it. I get why she did it. But I mean, when you're holding the bow and arrow in front of this person who's literally like 5 feet away from you, I'm like, that's pretty. I don't know. This just looked pretty intimidating. Although Rava just, you know, she's like trying to calm Omega down because obviously she didn't want to get blasted. But then she tries to disarm Omega, and I'm like, she's got the bow here. Like, she lets go, that thing fires, it could hit something. You know, in this factory that literally anything is a hazard. And wouldn't you know it, she tries to grab Omega, lets go of the bow, flies, and it pierces this wall which lets in this weird smoke. I think they said, I don't know, they said I think it was a gas leak, pretty much. So it causes the whole factory go on lockdown, sending in all the security droids. And I'm like, Rava. Trace in this episode, I remember in the Ahsoka storyline, I didn't hate her that much compared to Rava, because I felt like Trace was more the optimistic type. She was more optimistic. She was hoping things would go her way. And she also tried to come up with some ideas. Granted, not every idea was a good idea in the Clone Wars episodes. Here, though, she does get a good idea. It's just the fact that, actually, yeah, it does work. Actually, thinking about it, yeah, it does work. So, a lot of things go down. So, like I said before, with Rava screwing things up with Omega, causing the shutdown, they're trapped inside, so Tech and Echo have to figure out how to open the doors, but it also requires them to get to the main control panel, which is up on a high balcony, and so Wrecker has to swing across this pit of magma or hot, yeah, basically, I think, I don't know, what are they called in the factories? I'm blanking on that, I don't know why, but I love how we bring back Wrecker's fear of heights, because in the Clone Wars episodes with the Bad Batch, there was that moment in episode 3, where Wrecker's like, I don't like heights. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, so I'm glad they brought it back here. Although I'm kind of glad they didn't dwell too much on it in this episode, because you get the moment where Wrecker has to jump, grab something, swing across, and not fall into a fiery death. So I was kind of worried it was gonna be like, you know, he was gonna be there. He's like, okay, you got this, Wrecker, you got this. And then he does do that, but it's very quick, it's very short. But then they throw something else at you. After he swings across, the momentum from his swing causes him to hit his head on the wall, on the machine, and he's able to turn off the main power, or reboot it, I should say. But then he passes out, and when he's passed out, you hear him reciting, "Good, so just follow orders," and I was like, oh, fool. I mean, it does make sense that Wrecker would be the one that could possibly fall victim to the inhibitor chip. It's on this side. Inhibitor chip's on this side. Because, you know, he's the brute, and as we've seen multiple times throughout this series so far, he hits his head a lot, so it's kind of scary when Wrecker will turn, because he's the brute. He's the big brute of the team, and I can't imagine what he would be like if his personality wasn't there, if he was just simply a soldier and he just was this big, strong dude. I can't imagine that fight being easy, both physically and mentally, for the team. And when that day comes, oh boy. But for now, it's just little, like, throwing it in moment, like, it's affecting him, it's affecting him a little bit more, but he's able to get back up and get back to work, and we get that trailer shot of him, you know, jumping from a high place, landing on the droids, and just whipping out his gun, and just, woo! It's fun, but, it's kind of scary to think what Wrecker's gonna do. But Rava seems to like him. That's probably the only funny thing I liked about Rava in this episode, was that she was bickering with Hunter the whole time. And she's like, you know, I don't like you. And then Hunter's like, I get that a lot. Or no, then you said I'm used to it. So it's funny. And then we get this, I don't know whether to say it was a clever bit or it was a too forced of a bit. So they're surrounded by the droids, and so they figure out a way to take them all out. And so Trace with the tactical droid head says they could activate the tactical droid head and like take control of the droids. And then Rava says the exact same thing. And so Trace is like, "Is there an Echo in here?" And then Echo is like, "I'm right here." It's like, "What? Yeah, my name's Echo." And it's like, I mean, you know, you make an Echo joke, you know, it's like, I mean, I kind of was I don't know, I was a little distracted by that. I wasn't, like, laughing out of that. I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing, but I was like, I felt like that could have been done better. I felt like that joke could have been done better, you know? It's like, is there an Echo in here? It's like, right here. You know? I guess it's just because we've heard it said so many times before. And it's like, okay, yeah, like, so you're trying to make an Echo joke now? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It was just a weird moment, but that's how they beat the droids, basically. They take the tactical droid head, they activate it, and they command all the, not the security droids, but the decommissioned battle droids to start attacking, and that's how they're able to escape. I also do like how Tech also copied the memory bank of the tactical droid, so that way, if the droid's head, you know, got destroyed, which it does as they escape, they have the data at least. And as they escape, Omega is able to get her one shot off. And at first, I wasn't sure how to feel about the moment of when she lands the shot. Although, thinking back to earlier in the episode, it might have been a clever way they did it, because at the beginning of the episode, Omega is frustrated with her aim because she's saying all the guys in the bar, you know, they're distracting her, and so Echo tells her that she needs to block all that out. She needs to block out all the distractions. So I think it's kind of clever in this situation where when she does land the shot in this episode with this one droid, it's in a moment where so many things are happening, you may not even notice it. That was the thing, because I didn't notice, because it doesn't seem like a special bow shot that hit the droid. It just seemed like a normal blaster shot. But then in the very next scene, you see her holding the bow, and like Trace is looking up at her, and she's like, "Wow, nice shot!" And Trace, and then Omega's like, "The key is not being distracted." And I'm like, "Wow, yeah, that's kind of a good. That's kind of cool because." You're just so distracted by everything that's going on screen, you couldn't maybe not notice it. So I like how that's when Omega landed the shot. Granted, it was a little confusing because again, I had to go back and be like, wait, what the heck just happened? So, I don't know. It's an experimental thing, I guess. I really don't know. Help me out, guys. But they're able to escape, get on, Rava and explains that, or, because obviously the Bad Batch are clones, Rava is wondering why the heck are they doing all this, and they said, well, we're not with the Empire, so it's like, we don't want to be with the Empire, and they just want to get paid, and so, I like Hunter saying, like, we were told to retrieve the droid, bring it back, no questions asked, and it's like, yeah. And so I like how Rava's like, okay. But then it's kind of hard to say whether or not this is her lying or actually her trying to tell the truth. Because it's, again, this is post the Empire. Beforehand it was just the Republic, now it's the Empire. What side are Trace and Rava really on in this situation? And so Rava in this case is saying that like the data that they were going to use was going to help people. And it's like people are being affected by the Empire, and so they need every way they can to figure out how to beat this or like at least protect themselves. So could be complete bull, could be telling the truth, because Hunter, being the sympathetic one, gives them the copied database, saying that they're gonna need it more than they do, because, technically speaking, they're not wrong, because they were just gonna use it for money, whereas Rob and Trace could possibly use it to benefit, like, other people, or like, but again, we have no idea up to this point. And just to add salt to that wound, we get a scene with Rava and Trace where Rava contacts some mysterious figure we don't know yet, and says, like, got some rogue clones here that you might like, and I know exactly where they're going. I'm like, because Omega did mention to Trace, like, hey, maybe you should come visit us on blank. And it's like, okay. It's like, yeah, so, in terms of this episode, it was cool. It was alright. I guess just in terms of the... this is getting interesting, because, like, that first I think it's because of how big that first episode was. It was over an hour long, and, like, the second episode was pretty cool, because we got to see Cut again and his family, and we got to see just the relationship between the Bad Batch and Omega and all that. Episode 3, was like, nice little pit stop on the moon. Episode 4, you had a nice run-in with Fennec. Last episode, you had a pretty funny, cool battle with the Rancor. This episode was just, oh yeah, those two from the Clone Wars series. I don't know. I mean, again, it's like you're establishing stuff. I wouldn't say trying to stretch stuff out, because all of this can come back into play. I mean, we know Fennec's gonna come back. Maybe the situation with the I wouldn't say the Rancor would come back. Maybe the Zygerians maybe can come back. Who knows? Trace and Rava, maybe they'll make another appearance. So, we're early on in the series. We have no idea if all this stuff is gonna come back or not. So, I'm just playing it as it is, though. I'm like, okay, well, we got this, we have this, we have this, we have this, we have this. So, yeah. But, yeah, so solid episode. Not one of my favorites of the series so far, but who knows. We still got 10 more episodes to go, so, yeah. Alright. Yeah, that's about everything. Of course, in terms of Star Wars, that's about everything for now. But got a lot of other things coming up, don't we? With the Owl House Season 2 trailer that just dropped, I really thought that was cool. Season 2, of course, is premiering next week, although I heard about that special screening that's gonna be tomorrow, I think. Yeah, so gonna try my best to avoid all the spoilers, but knowing the internet, it's like I've turned on my phone and just be like, spoilers! Alright. But yeah, okay. Yeah, alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. You don't have to. I'm just saying, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one.